Morning arrived wrapped in a soft mist in the forest of Wispia. Everything was quiet, as if the forest were waiting for something special. Between the trees, a lonely deer appeared. It walked slowly, looking around, a little disoriented. A small bluebird spotted him from a branch and flew down curiously. "Hello," it said cheerfully. "Are you okay? You look lost." The deer nodded shyly. "The fog made me lose my way. I'm not sure where I am." "That's all right," replied the bird. "If you want, I can walk with you for a while." They walked together among the trees, talking quietly. Little by little, the forest began to feel warmer and more welcoming. As they passed by a cave, a large bear stepped outside to greet them. He was decorating the entrance with green branches and winter pine cones. "Hello, friends," he said with a smile. "It's cold out there. If you'd like, you can come inside and rest for a bit." The deer accepted gratefully. Inside, the cave was warm and peaceful. The news spread quickly through the forest. A new visitor had arrived and needed a little help. Before long, a rabbit appeared carrying dry leaves and soft moss. "I thought this might help make things more comfortable," he said proudly. Later, the old turtle arrived, walking slowly. She carried some winter apples, carefully protected. "To share," she said with a gentle smile. The deer looked at them all with emotion. "I didn't expect such kindness. Helping without expecting anything in return says so much about you." As they talked, the fog began to lift, the sky filled with golden and pink colors. The animals stepped outside to enjoy the sunset. The forest shone as if it were a special day. The deer took a few steps toward the clearing. He turned back, bowed his head in gratitude, and continued on his way. When they looked again, the deer was gone. Only his soft tracks remained in the snow, and a warm feeling in the air. As night fell, a huge shooting star crossed the sky. The animals looked at one another in silence. The turtle smiled gently. "Can you imagine that deer was who we're all thinking of?" No one answered, but everyone smiled. That night, they stayed together in the bear's cave, talking about what they had lived and celebrating being united. And so, today's adventure came to an end. The forest hides many other exciting stories waiting to be discovered. Each night, a new story begins to shine in Wispia. The snow was slowly melting in the forest of Wispia. The river began to flow again, and spring was gently waking up. By the river bank, the beaver could not stay still. Crack! Crack! He was cutting wood and dragging heavy logs to fix his home. He had worked all winter long, and even his whiskers felt sore. That morning, he woke up in a bad mood. A little gray cloud floated above his head. A small bird saw him from a branch and thought, "I will help." The bird flew down with its beak full of dry twigs. But the sticks kept falling. Splash! They made noise and did not fit where he wanted them to. "Grrr," growled the beaver. "Too much noise. Nothing is working today." The little bird felt scared and flew away slowly. He only wanted to be a good friend. Suddenly, Rabbit appeared hopping happily. He saw the grumpy beaver and smiled. "My friend," said Rabbit, wiggling his ears. "Let's play and run by the river." The beaver sighed deeply. His head hurt. Everything felt annoying. Then, step by step, the wise old turtle arrived. She did not rush, but her eyes understood a lot. The turtle knew that, sometimes, friends do not need games or noise. She sat beside the beaver and said nothing. She simply stayed there with him. The beaver took a deep breath, and the gray cloud faded away. I am very tired, Turtle. Talking made him feel better. And so today's adventure came to an end. The forest hides many other wonderful stories, waiting to be discovered. Every night, a new story begins to shine in Wispia. Spring had arrived in the forest of Wispia, filling it with soft light, new leaves, and a quiet calm that invited everyone to observe. Among the branches lived Pixel, a small chameleon from the forest. Pixel was very shy. When he felt nervous, his skin changed color to look like tree bark, making him almost invisible. When the others played hide and seek, Pixel blended in so well that no one could ever find him. The game would end, the others would leave, and Pixel stayed there camouflaged, feeling a little lonely. Sometimes he wanted to get closer and say something, but his body stayed still and the words would not come out. One day, some of the forest acorns began to disappear. Not all of them, just a few. No one understood why. The animals looked around, confused, trying to figure out what was happening. Pixel watched quietly from a high branch. When night fell, he decided to stay awake, very still, watching carefully. The nighttime breeze began to blow gently through the trees. Pixel saw how some acorns slowly rolled downhill. They rolled little by little into a corner of the forest, where they gathered without anyone noticing. It seemed as if the breeze wanted to plant them there, bringing them together exactly where new trees would be needed. At sunrise, Pixel knew he had to show the secret to the others. His heart went thump, thump very fast, but he took a deep breath. Little by little, his body turned a light and gentle color, so the others could see him without fear. The animals followed him in silence. Pixel led them to the secret corner, where they saw the small pile of acorns. The animals then understood how important Pixel had been to the forest. They did not push him or clap. They simply sat near him and smiled calmly. From that day on, everyone knew that Pixel was always watching, caring for the forest, even when he was hardly seen. And so ended today's adventure. The forest hides many other exciting stories waiting to be discovered. Every night, a new story begins to shine in Wispia.